Okay, so today what we're looking at is we're looking at triangle sum. And when we're finding out unknown angles within triangles, it's important to number one remember about classification of triangles. Because when we've got a triangle like this, that's an isosceles triangle, we need to apply those rules in order to find out what A is going to equal. But it's also really important that we're setting out our working properly. So if we have a look at this first one here, we've got obviously a right-angled triangle, and we're going to find angle X. So the first thing I do is I write X equals, and we start off with the amount of degrees that are in a triangle, and that is 180, okay? And then we're going to have to take away the angles that we know. So we know 30 degrees, and we also know 90 degrees. But what we're going to do is we're going to add these two together, okay? So my next line of working would reflect us adding those two together. Okay, so 30 plus 90 gives 120. And then obviously we just have one step to go, which is 60 degrees. Always make sure that you're showing your units there, okay? With this one here, this one's a little bit different in the fact that there's two unknown angles within this triangle. And the two unknown angles is obviously A and B. And the first one we need to work out is A, because without knowing what A is, we can't actually find B. So I'm going to find A first. And you'll notice that A sits on a straight line. So that means that I can find out what A is by taking 150 away from 180, that is on a straight line. Okay, so my answer there is obviously going to be 30 degrees. And now I can find what angle B is going to equal. Okay, so here I've got B, and I know what A is. I'm going to take it all away from 180. A is 30 degrees, and B is 70 degrees. Okay. Once again, I do this next step of working, and then I get my answer. Now, important thing to note about this question here is you probably look at B and you go, that doesn't look like 80 degrees. And you're 100% right. If I got a protractor and I put a protractor on there, it would not equal 80 degrees. But when we're finding triangle sum, these triangles are not drawn to scale. And they're not drawn to scale because we want you to find them through investigating rather than measuring with a protractor, okay? So if I come across here to this isosceles triangle, now you will remember in isosceles triangles, we have two sides that are the same length, and the result of having two sides the same length is that our base angles are the same, okay? So that means that we can find the angles in an isosceles triangle with knowing just one angle, and in this case that's 40 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 180, take away that 40 degrees. Once I get rid of that, my answer is obviously going to be 140. But I need to split that 140 up between these two angles. So I'm going to divide my result by 2. So I have 140 divided by 2, and then A is going to equal 70 degrees. So, triangle sum, it's pretty straightforward, but you just need to make sure you're justifying your working.